Good morning. It is around almost quarter after 10 UTC on Thursday. Just looking at the local price action and some liquidity stuff. But yeah, still trapping shorts really nicely right above around 57, call it 57.6, 57.7. We're starting to fill up here where we've got enough now, potentially clearing some areas that were low as far as liquidity goes. To maybe clear a bigger gap if there's now a push up. So looking still very strong. If there's a localized breakdown because of that move down we saw yesterday, there is the potential for a collapse just because that did technically break some trend on lower time frames, and even on the 4 hour we saw some failures that closed low. So keep an eye on that as we are still at the highs currently. So if there's a localized retest, we'd probably want to see something back down, which would go through a 55 55.1 for a bounce up, and any loss of this structure likely is the push lower to get everyone really bearish and maybe do the massive higher low test from the low. So we'll see if that happens. But for right now, we're really close to some really high leverage stuff above us. So if we do start squeezing the upside, we should see a pretty strong short squeeze. Looking at the long short ratios, it's middling on the taker side. But as we talked about since Monday, looking for shorts to start coming in pretty heavily after being almost 3 to 1 long to short. Now we're back down to about 58%. So a little spike yesterday with just a little bit of breakdown. But this is good. It's looking strong still. And again, if we do have that major flush out, that's kind of what we're hoping for. Looking over at trading light to look at the local stuff, there was a couple manipulated levels. We talked about how this was all fake bullshit. They weren't getting filled. So all these 1,000 Bitcoin short orders that are resting above us, because that's what we're looking at, they've been pulled now. There's some more organic stuff around 58 too, but it's very minimalistic, I would argue. These guys have stopped. It looks like now they flipped, and now it looks like around about the same entity that could have been trying to squeeze the upside. So keep an eye on that, as if we do start losing, I would argue 55k 55.1, this local structure, we'd likely see a breakdown similar as we saw this kind of move up. We'd see a breakdown, get everyone really kind of nice and nasty and bearish again to retest some lows at 51 and some of the previous bounce structure. So we'll see if that plays out. Just to look at the TPO, where that is. Yes, again, like if we do lose that level, I'm expecting lower. There's a local breakdown point if you're trying to scalp this thing on lower time frames. 55, yeah, 55.8, 55.750. If there's some localized failures here, you'd probably expect that little push down to come back down to retest some of this structure at the very least. But it's again very low time frame, and you're still technically gaining TPOs to the upside. You're not creating lows, so 1, 2, 3, 4 gaining up. And if we do start breaking down again, it gets into this area of interest for testing. The loss of the zone obviously is what breaks us back down, potentially all the way back down towards 51k. So we'll keep an eye on that, because the macro play on this, if this low holds, like the macro play is full send on the higher low. But you really need to trick everyone to get super bearish, breaking back down, screaming across social media for new lows and blah, blah, blah. Looking at the order flow in the area right now, just put on the higher time frame, it's easier. Yeah, again, like super overly bullish delta here. So like I said before, breaking 57.1, 57k on the 4 hour, like putting some of these guys out of position. You could see a move back down to like 55, 55.1. So just again, very, very, very oversellers buying here, expecting the breakthrough, the breakout. So if you do get the higher low here from the lows from yesterday, that little hold we talked about, just be aware that is definitely an area where we would want to take some profit, even if we do have the squeeze higher. But yeah, so from here, definitely, if there's some localized failure, again, these guys are going to fuel some localized downside. Yeah. Yeah, on the short side, I'm just glancing real quick. All of the major shorts have been taken out. It's all fueled this upside move. There's still quite a bit of shorts left in case we do start creating some higher lows and regain, 58.5, 60k. But that's we'll wait till that actually happens. And localized longs or late longs here, we've seen quite a bit of punishment, not a whole lot, and we'll see if we actually get the full downside. We could just squeeze up. That's still technically priority. The problem is that this 4 hour broke some shit, closed below previous levels, which invalidates some of the upside expectation. Looking over at trading view for the plan. So from yesterday, we talked about that little move, that little squeeze back down where you were looking for that higher low. We didn't quite go all the way back down to previous levels. We closed a little low on the 4 hour and on the hourly. So it's a little sketchy looking right here with the kind of the high structure. We are still kind of expecting, if you're in these longs, definitely potentially squeeze up. There is like short liquidity there for sure. But as we saw in the order flow, tons of longs here hoping for that breakout structure instead of looking at it for what it is, which is, yeah, we're at resistance. So if you're are in some local longs, you're still at great value areas to take some profit. Localized failures come into play. Yes, again, failing the more local, lower time frame stuff. If you want to start failing like 57K, 57.1, we want those retest back at the daily open, back at 55.1 or so, where we'd want to see some step off. Any loss of that level, and you are definitely looking for that kind of breakdown into the area for a major higher low. We could sweep lower. We could go all the way back down to like 49.5, but I don't want to see any closes like in this area or below on the 4 hour, especially because then we start closing below 4 hour structure, which is bad. We don't want to see closes, 4 hour closes under 50, 51K, under 50K. Then it starts looking like this is the dead cat before downside continuation. So still optimistic. We still got shorts coming in here pretty nicely. Just keep an eye on this. We're kind of like at the point. Just to double check as well, something I forgot to mention yesterday, or actually since Monday, is that we do have a gigantic CME gap. This is actually a double CME gap. It's got a partial fill of some stuff we did from uh, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, as well as some stuff above us. So there's a massive CME gap above, and if we do start regaining some of these major levels, getting back above weekly opens and stuff like that, you could see a really quick pop through the CME gap, which plays out if you look at liquidity and stuff. So don't discount it. It's still holding support. It's just at local resistance. You're still looking to see holds and step offs. It's when you start losing this stuff at 55K, 55.1. Again, you're looking to target lower for that macro higher low. We don't want to break down below that. There's no reason to. So that's that. Take it easy. Catch you tomorrow.